Greetings, Captains. Today's episode is an unusual one. We're going to tell you how we made the new Dockyard feature. It's here that you can build your own ship in Puerto Rico. We're going to tell you how to obtain the ship, what you need to do to boost its progress, and how we created the feature, its development, implementation, what the feature required, and how many people were involved in the process. We're going to start with the fact that building ships is fun.
About Gorizia.
About Gorizia?
It took too long for you to unwrap the present, and then it was taken away from you.
No, that's bad. Let's record it again.
But it's better not to do that.
More tokens are required. More tokens are always required. Building ships is truly fun. We know that we have a lot of players who read a great deal about shipbuilding, and who are also generally fond of naval history. Everyone knows that it's impossible to access a real shipbuilding site and take a look at how ships are built. We tried to deconstruct the entire shipbuilding process and organize it into a multitude of short phases, with each phase representing a significant part of the process. Belts being installed and decks being covered, all of that illustrated with nice animations. It's very cool, and we hope that our players will like it as much as we do.
Up until now, we've been talking about Puerto Rico. She's a very large and important part of a New Year's event, but she also represents just a part of it.
Another significant part is Tier 7 Italian ship Gorizia. Over the past couple of years, and especially last year, we received a lot of feedback from players stating that it was highly difficult to obtain a New Year's ship. We've always had one such ship. Initially it was Graf Spee, then Duke of York, and last year it was Prince Eitel Friedrich. The general impression was that you were left without a New Year's present if you didn't have time to get it, which required some grind. We heard those concerns and decided to try out a new format this year. The New Year's ship is Tier 7 Gorizia. Even though players will have to play for approximately the same amount of time to obtain the ship, the time limit will be much more liberal. In other words, almost the entire marathon will be available from the start, in the first week, so players have the entire New Year update, and it's up to them to choose
the desired time to play.
Right, when to get the ship. We wanted to provide a challenge for those players who have the time, desire, and strength to spend more time with us this new year. That's how we came up with Puerto Rico. It will require significant effort to obtain her for free. It's a Tier 10 ship. However, we're using the same trick that we used for Cossack. If you don't manage to finish building Puerto Rico in time, any progress you've made will still reduce the cost of purchasing the ship.
Now let's talk about the mechanics. You mentioned 36 phases, and that the shipbuilding process continues automatically without completing any specific missions.
Puerto Rico is built independently, but left alone, she won't be completed in time. She needs help with that. Players can boost her progress by erecting various factories. You can purchase factories and erect them using shipbuilding tokens. These can be earned by completing directives and daily missions. The more tokens you have, the more factories you can build. The entire process is divided into 36 phases, and completing each phase will reward you. The more progress you make, the better the rewards will be.
Basically, we can earn a new resource simply by playing the game, right? Then spend it on boosting shipbuilding progress, and at the same time, obtain various rewards for each of the phases completed.
That's right. We've also prepared a very cool skin for Puerto Rico. It will be exclusive for the new year, for those who managed to build the ship before the new year. The skin depicts the ship entering into service. It's covered with a beautiful camo and small festive flags, as well as sailors wearing white uniforms standing on the deck in rows. I like it. It looks great, very atmospheric.
Now some details on how to build Puerto Rico. The process of constructing the ship has been split into 6 stages with a total of 36 phases. The scale will start to fill in automatically on December 16, even if you don't log into the game on that date. The process of building the cruiser will run until January 13. It can be accelerated using certain Dockyard enhancements called boosters, which are unlocked sequentially. The next booster can only be purchased after obtaining the preceding one. They can be purchased using shipbuilding tokens. To collect more shipbuilding tokens and direct dockyard enhancements as fast as possible, you need to complete event directives and daily challenges, as well as make sure to open all the daily shipments. Starting from Phase 18, you'll be able to complete the ship's construction immediately by using doubloons. Got enough shipbuilding tokens? Spend them as soon as possible on boosters. Even if you aren't intent on building Puerto Rico, you can still get various rewards for completing construction phases. The earlier you utilize all the boosters, the more rewards that will come your way. By completing phase after phase, you'll receive days of Warships Premium account, Zulu, Zulu Hotel, Equal Speed Charlie London, and Papa Papa signals, Dragon, Red Dragon, Wyvern, Hydra, Ouroboros, Basilisk, Scylla, and Leviathan special signals. New Year permanent camos, coal, steel, free XP, Santa's gift, Santa's big gift, and Santa's mega gift containers, and gift containers.
Tell us, how did you build Puerto Rico?
No, we actually don't know how. When they introduce something to the game, we just...
He won't tell us how. He won't give away any secrets. Much metal.
If it's heavy, it sinks.
Cool.
A long-forgotten feeling of working at a factory.
We had Project CA2D, which the Americans devised on January the 18th, 1940. The only things we had were the sole blueprint and a small table containing some data. That was all. We found a similar ship, the hull of which we used to make Puerto Rico's hull and define her displacement. Then we started working on allocating her main systems, such as armament, fire control systems, and so on.
Tell us about some specific features of the project.
In the initial requirement specification, we planned for the ship's armored belt to be thick enough, 330 millimeters. During the detailed design stage, when we got the hull and determined all her armament systems and their weights, we started finalizing the ship's armor. It turned out that the 330 millimeter armored ship was too heavy. We had to implement the 254 millimeter armored belt, which is actually presented in the game. In reality, even this thickness and inclination of the armor would have provided enough protection against the shells of Japanese heavy cruisers.
They wouldn't penetrate it.
Of course they wouldn't, while Puerto Rico could easily shoot them up from almost any distance.
Let's talk in detail about the guns. What does she have?
She's equipped with 305 millimeter Mark 8 guns. These guns are the same as those that were mounted on the real cruiser Alaska, and she has 12 of them.
Slightly more.
Yeah, by 3. Taking into account that a 12-inch gun is approximately 3.5 times more powerful than any 8-inch Japanese gun, Japanese cruisers wouldn't have had a chance.
What was the reference ship?
Montana was the reference ship. The ships had similar profiles at their sectional areas and midship frames. Their bulge lines were very similar, and the slope of the armored belt was a good fit for us. Respectively, the ships differ in their length, beam, draft, and as a rule, displacement.
So, did you take its approximate proportions and stretch them out?
On the contrary, we compressed them.
Compressed, you say? Roughly speaking, when we look at various 3D models on the internet, we know that they are hollow because everyone's interested in the ship's appearances only. But when you design a ship, you make all the internal parts.
In specific cases, yes.
Tell us, what do you implement into a standard ship, and what can we see in detail?
Well, in the dockyard, we're going to see the ship's hull forming on the building site, just as it happens in reality. There are some simplifications, otherwise players wouldn't get to see how the ship is being built, because everything would be covered in scaffolding and building materials, and a lot of people would be running up and down. Boilers, turbines, boiler chimneys, and ventilation for the boilers and turbine rooms. All these have been slightly simplified. For sure, we've designed and rendered the internal processes, but it's not shown on the model because players just wouldn't see them. They will be developing internally, though we've made ducts on the deck for the boiler chimneys with corresponding reinforcement, the way there would be in reality.
So we've simplified some things to avoid overcrowding the model?
Sure, to avoid overcrowding and preventing players from seeing the shipbuilding process.
What does the shipbuilding process start with?
The shipbuilding process starts with shaping the external plating at the ship's bottom. Then the bottom frame is installed. The sides grow higher, a bottom ceiling appears, and then the ship starts growing slowly up to its deck.
You said that initially that the floor is made, then the bars grow from the floor, and at a later stage, in the game we have some nice videos showing that, the ship is put afloat, or to be more specific, the ship's hull.
The ship's hull.
Why is it done like that? What's the process?
It's done that way because a ship is a pretty heavy thing, while a dock has specific load limits that it can sustain.
So a dry dock simply can't sustain the weight of the ship, right?
It can sustain the floor.
Oh boy.
That's why a ship is built up to a point of specific weight characteristics, and after that it's put afloat. Its construction is finished while the ship is near an outfitting quay.
The main guns, superstructures, is all of that built with the ship afloat?
On the water.
Is it always that way, or does it depend upon...
It was usual practice for the ships of that time. Even side armor plates were installed with the ship afloat.
In this episode, we told you how to build your own Puerto Rico, how this idea originated with us, how we developed it, and how we eventually implemented it. Build your own ship, earn tokens. You'll make it all right. Hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. See you all.